Salesmanship begins when the customer says no. And that is a quote by Boynton from a coffee mug that was very, very popular back in my early days of becoming a master salesperson. And so if you're watching on video, you can see the salesman that's scared of the big monster potential client. And today I want to tame the beast a little with the topic handling objections. So I'm going to stop my screen share so you can see me. Hello again, I'm Luci, and Luci Dumas coaching.com. Luci with an I is where you can check out all things Luci coaching, more podcast episodes, send me an email, or feel free to book a 20-minute call just to chat, get support, whatever you need. Also, I have a private group called The Profitable Photographer with Luci Dumas. It might also say IPS. It's easy to find, and I'd love for you to join, and also to join my page. So let's get started. The topic on handling objections and pushbacks from clients, I don't see it covered that much in classes, in workshops, online, podcast episodes. I don't know if I've had a conversation with anyone about this specifically for the show. About a year and a half ago, I did this same topic. And so there's going to be some familiar things. You might go back. It was December of 2022 and listen to that and see if I said things a little different. So I'm just going to launch here with everything in my brain about this I can think of today. So it's a critical skill, and it can make all the difference in the world between a great sale, a booking, or no booking, or no or low sales. We can do everything else right. Great photography, wonderful lead generation, getting them to book, all those things. But when things come up that it might be so easy to be like, oh, okay, she doesn't want to order now. I'll just let her do it later. Or um, she only wants digitals and I don't sell those. So I'm just going to let her go. No, there are ways to turn those frowns upside down, to navigate and educate people on our policies, on how what we're up to they can comfortably go with, or handle them in a way that helps them fully understand what we're about and be at choice. People don't really know, especially if you're doing a luxury portrait or wedding business where you're providing printed wall portraits and albums. Most people have not had that experience, especially these days. So what they might think is a negative, we can put it in a positive spin, and certain things that seem like issues just fade away. We need to have some prepared responses. I think a lot of my responses that I've used over the decades have come from conversations with other photographers where we've been like, what do you say with this? What do you say with that? And it's come from experience where I was like, ooh, I just said that and it worked. So you want to keep growing your little back pocket to have things to pull out as needed, depending on which area of objections the client is bringing up. Okay, so for example, they can pop up at our initial phone call or our initial contact. Let's say somebody doesn't give us their phone number and we say, hey, the first step is to hop on the call. And they say, oh, I don't do that. I just email and text. So we got to handle that. Or they may say, can I buy all the digitals? Got to have responses to that. Can you just send me your pricing? We need to have responses to that. It can happen when they show up on a call. So there can be a price issue or things like, I don't want to meet with you in person. Can you just send a gallery? Can we have a Zoom call? Can I have all the digitals? Back to that. Or as we're planning the session with them, they may start out thinking they want to do something at a specific time and place that may not be ideal for the results they want. So we need to not let those things just drain our energy and give them power and take away our confidence. And we can do all the other things right. Maybe I've already said this, but we need to, first of all, really believe that what we're doing has value and that our policies are there for reasons and not just because we need money or we need clients. Yes, that is a good reason, but I always keep in mind that I am serving my client. What I offer is a huge blessing to them. I always keep my why in mind. And if you don't have your why, then you might want to, work on that and keep that in mind. I'm just so passionate about people having art in their homes of people that they love, including themselves or fur babies. That everything is kind of geared towards helping them understand why and having that opportunity to purchase those from me. All right. So, of course, during a sales session, there are oodles of opportunities to master the objections and to have, have ways to communicate and things that help them feel comfortable and confident and go along with the what we're up to. Now, of course, it's important that we are pre-qualifying people at the beginning so we don't end up in the sales room with all of those objections unaddressed and where they maybe have booked us under certain assumptions and we weren't clear about our system, what we're offering, how they order, all of those things. So let's see. I'm going to give you some common things to keep in mind. I want you to write these 3 down, or you can pause and you can send yourself an email or a text that says, hey, remember these things, and then jump back in. So, number 1, my program that I teach is about becoming a master salesperson. And the most important step is the very beginning. We're establishing ourselves as a trusted advisor. The way that we do that is, first off, we set up a relationship. We build a relationship so that they know that we care about them and we're listening and we're offering ideas that give them confidence that we know what we're doing and that we're trustworthy also. So that's the first thing. And then the advisor portion is that we get ourselves in a position of leadership so that when they trust us and they see us as the leader, then when we give responses to some of their pushbacks, they trust and believe us and they don't think, oh, she's just trying to get my money. But they in their core, they feel confident that we have their best interest in mind. Very, very important. Let's see. And one of the things to know is that when people are doing pushbacks, it is a way to take leadership from us. So the way we respond is establishing who's still in the driver's seat. If they're trying to take the wheel from us, and we just go, oh, okay, they just want the digitals, or oh, she wants a discount, or oh, she doesn't like talking on the phone. Okay, then they're in charge. So I'm not comfortable working with people that won't relax into my leadership, because this is my job, this is my passion. And, you know, even when I've photographed people who are portrait photographers, I have done a couple of friends who, one lives in Texas, one lives in Arizona, and they've come to town and had me do their family portrait. And I still established, not that we're colleagues at this point, but that I'm the leader of this, because how I might do it is different than how they might do it. All right. So, number 2, I want you to develop a habit of always asking a question before you respond. Unless in their question, of course, you've got the clarity you need. The reason for that is they might ask something and we assume it's about X. And so we respond like, well, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And it, and it isn't handling that at all. So, for example, if someone says, and this happens in the sales room quite frequently, after I do a slideshow with them and they see all the work, they often will say, can I order later, or can I order more later? So, what do you think the reasons are that they would ask that question? It might be overwhelm. And if it's that, I assure them I have a system where we're going to take this step by step. If you just tell me yes, no, and maybe, then at a certain point, all the best ones are going to be apparent. And then I will help you plan the sizes and locations and which ones you're going to treasure for the rest of your life. So just relax. I got you. If it's money, oh, we can afford so and so now, but we'll have more later. I address 2 different things with that. One is I do have an option of splitting the payments. Sometimes people will do half now, and then with wall portraits and albums, it can take 8 to 12 weeks to complete, because I always give extra time so that if I'm early, I'm a hero. And P.S., it's always the ones that I commit to an earlier time that have problems. So I don't like that. Okay. So I'll say, it can be 8 to 12 weeks before I need that second half. Or I can even split it up into 3. And many times they'll go, oh, okay. And also I remind them, because when I book, I take a session fee and a minimum purchase that covers maybe one small wall portrait or a couple of tabletops, just to get their buy-in. So then I remind them, oh, and remember, you have some money on deposit. So those things kind of cool the need. And then the other is I say, you'll get your best value if you order everything at once, because it's easier for me, because we have to start all over, have another consultation. So why don't we just figure out everything you love? This is, let's see, this is in the money thing. Let's figure out everything you love and then figure out how to make it work for you. Okay. Sometimes they say, well, we're moving or we're buying a new house and we don't know, where these can go. So can we get back to you on that? So I come in with a really positive, oh, that's so exciting, because you're going to have all empty walls. And when you order these, let's pick some sizes that you absolutely know will go in any home. And I'll give some thoughts to that. And the wonderful thing is, when you're getting into your new home, these will be ready for you, and they'll be the first art that you put on your walls. And it will be something that makes your house a home. So I'm future pacing that. I'm giving them that experience, imagining going into their new home and how it will feel to have these family portraits or these engagement portraits, or even, a boudoir portrait in a woman's bedroom, or heck, in the living room. Why not? All right. And let's see. Next thing is, okay. So a third thing I want you to remember is a phrase that I came up with a therapist 100 years ago. And the situation was, I had nice clients. The wedding, it was simple. It was in a little scruffy location. I did a wonderful job. When they saw the portraits, they were so, so, so excited. And then when they came back to ordering, they started saying they didn't like them, and they just all these negative things, which was really confusing to me because I knew they loved them. Now, I've since learned that sometimes when people can't afford more because they wanted more and honestly they couldn't afford it, there's a tactic where people will say they're not happy in hopes that you either give them a discount or you give them more than what they paid for. So don't be fooled on that, but don't assume that's always true. So the phrase, because I was crushed, I was much much less wise about the ways of people. And the phrase that I memorized is, these are the prices, or these are the policies that you agreed to when you booked me. And these are still the prices, or these are still the policies. So you remind them, this is what was in place when you booked me, and nothing has changed. Very powerful. All right. So I'm going to take a tiny little drink. I'm going to pause here. So hold. I didn't want to have a dry mouth while I'm going through this next phase. Okay. So here's some tips. Tip number 1, what you want to do is head them off at the pass. Be the cowboy or the indigenous person. Sorry, it's just an old phrase from movies. Head them off at the pass. There are so many problems and potential objections that can come up if you don't cover them in the beginning. So I help them prepare for the session. I'm very clear about pricing, the way I'm going to show the work, the fact that it's a one-time only. That's when they're going to order. Now, my marketing and other things that they do to discover who I am and what I do, those things help communicate that I'm a luxury brand, and that, that I'm not a $200 shoot and share photographer. So be really clear. I have handouts. I provide a packet. It's in a pretty folder that I've gotten at a stationery store, and it's printed on beautiful stationery from my computer. It's got the prices, it's got all my tips for a great session, and it's got a simple, what I call an agreement. I don't call it a contract because it hasn't been studied by a lawyer, and so it will hold up if something comes up with a credit card company or PayPal. It might not hold up in court. So I don't go there, but I do let them know what to expect and what they're agreeing to. In the tips, there are things like bring snacks for the kids that they don't know you have, that are not messy, or like not grape juice, things like that, not sugar, but something to alter their blood sugar. and be sure that everyone has had a good meal before the session and how long it's going to take. In the sales room, I ask them to block off 3 hours and to not have anywhere they have to be, because sometimes people need to sit with a decision. And if they've got a dinner date or theater tickets, we're going to have to start all over. So telling them the expectations and the whys and guiding them on what to wear, on the time of day that works, all of those things help stop objections before they happen. Okay, so step 2, and I've already mentioned part of this, but when someone asks a question or makes a comment that kind of sets you back on your heels and you're like, oh no, what am I going to do? Take a breath, pause, kind of let your fear go down, and then ask that clarifying question. And then you might repeat that question. It's a classic tool for communication is, so what I'm hearing is that you are thinking, if you invest what's comfortable now, and then you'll have more later, that that's the reason for your question. I mean, your answer. Yeah. Ask the question, repeat the answer in your own words. And then, okay, this is, if you were going to get a business tattoo, which, I would never do this, but it's feel, felt, found. Okay, see it on my arm? No, you can't see it. But very often, the first thing that I do when someone has an objection and I've asked why, and they've given me some clarification, is I'll say, okay, I understand how you feel. Or I get it. I hear you. You're thinking that you don't know where it's going to go in your home. Other people have felt the same way initially. What I've found is when we plan the art that is an easy size to display in any home, it's wonderful because it's the first art you display, and it really makes your house a home. So feel, felt, found, especially in a panic, it kind of buys me a little time if I'm still working on exactly the right way to say it. And a trusted advisor, when we know that they've heard us and we want to make it sincere. Our guard is down, right? Okay, so here's some common things we might hear. I'm too expensive. When I first did this topic, I ask some common objections. So here's some of the lists that I've got. You're too expensive. Do I get the digitals? Can we order more later? I need to think about it. And of course, what do you need to think about? And then they might be a need for a secondary question in that. I don't know if this is on that list, but I'll ask my husband or I'll ask my wife. A response is, what do you think they're going to say? Sometimes that's a way for them to just say no in a nice way, but you really want to ask that question and find out, about that. We aren't wall portrait people. Now, what is a wall portrait? One of my responses to that is, have you ever had a custom portrait created that would be beautiful as art in your home and was worthy of being large in a focal point in a room? Almost everyone will say, that has said we're not wall portrait people, will say no. I can pull in the feel, felt, found. I hear what you're saying. Sometimes they say it just feels too egotistical. So I hear what you're saying. You're afraid that when people come to your home and they see a large family portrait, they might think, oh, she's got a big ego. And, other people have communicated that to me. That's the felt. What I found is, first of all, a beautiful portrait of a family establishes what is important in this home, and that we're saying the family's more important than the furniture, than the TV, than the jewelry. That what I value in this home is my family. Or I might say, what I've found is that kids, when I've had an opportunity to see them later, they talk to them later about the portraits. They always say that it makes them feel so good. They love having them. Um, they love it. They feel important. They feel cared about. So yeah, you're getting that. Okay, if people are like, I just want to know the price, that's a very common objection. So the journey with that is to establish, are these people that just don't know what to ask? Or are they really just price shoppers? Or are they photographers trying to get our pricing? Because that happens frequently. I can understand that. I don't want to just send out prices and have people think, yeah, let's just copy her, but we'll go a little less. So let's see. Yeah, I just want to know the price is, I might say, well, let me ask you a couple questions first. Is that okay? Tell me about your family. Have you ever, and I'll ask a few questions. And if they keep saying, I just want to know the price, I just want to know the price, I will then maybe say, is price the most important part of this decision? And if they say yes, then I say, well, I'm in no way the most economical photographer you can find. But I guarantee I create an amazing experience. I help you design the art and the location and create some things that are going to be beautiful in your home that you're going to treasure. If that's not what you're looking for, it's totally cool. But if at some point that is something that's more important to you than this being economical, please get in touch. All right, sometimes people say, oh, we're minimalists. Because if you've listened much, you know that my average client purchases 3 to 7 large portraits if it fits in their budget. Sometimes they want that, and we have to scale it down just money wise, but I try to do everything I can to create a lot of desire and decorate their whole home. So if they're like, I just want one good portrait, there's a way to say that's fantastic. And then we can do a book for the rest. Do you like some tabletops? So they don't have to decorate their whole home. Yeah, okay. Got the feel, felt, found. So I'm going to pause again and look at my notes to make sure I've scooped up as much as I wanted to share today. So hang tight. Okay, well, my notes said that I've covered just about everything I wanted in this fairly short episode. One thing that I learned from other teachers is the value of just being quiet sometimes. So one thing that comes to mind, I had a client that loved the work. When we did the totals, it was $6,000. And they have a small home. And she just loved them so much. And she said, I haven't even paid that much for a car. Now, I could have jumped in and said, well, let's do smaller sizes. I can give you a discount, blah, blah, blah. But I just waited and I kind of collected my thoughts. And then I was able to say something like, well, the good news is this is never going to break down on the highway. It's going to gain value as your kids get older and we get older. we appreciate them even more. And so I can do a payment plan if that will work for you. Is that something you want to talk about? And so at that point, she said yes, because I had created the desire. And she ended up putting 2 in her living room, 2 in the children's bedrooms, one of each kid, and a wall portrait in their bedroom of the 2 of them. So that's 5 in an 800 square foot home. And I've been to their home, and it does not look crowded. It looks perfect where she's placed them and how she's placed them. And I know okay, this is a little great objection modifier or de-escalator is, I know if I came to your house 2 years from now and offered you 4 times what this investment is to take them back and throw them away, you wouldn't take it. So the reason I'm saying this is that, and I'm still talking to the client, is I know how much these are going to grow in value. And that oftentimes, if we've gotten all the way to this point of sale, we've already established that there are people that want what I offer. And then if it's a true money objection where they need to, make payments, I handle that. If it's just that feeling of like, whoa, like that's a lot, it it puts a different thought in their brain. So that's what I have to say for today, and stay tuned for other great topics coming up. I have some people that I've interviewed that are just waiting. They're not waiting, but the interview, the recording is waiting to be published. And please get in touch, LuciDumasCoaching.com. I love to help people talk about their pricing or look at their website. And I do have an online course that is 12 recordings spelling out step by step the 6 steps to being a master salesperson. So you can ask me about that if you want, and I can give you all the details. And that being said, I want you to have a wonderful rest of your day and week and year and life. And be sure to subscribe here on YouTube and podcasts, because that keeps me knowing that you're listening and that you value all the stuff that I and my guests do to provide what we are providing. So that's it. Ta-ta.